1 Tibesti 37890 bar de Tibesti Est, Tibesti Est 16 N'Djamena, capital, 1,414,760 N'Djamena 10 Dora or arrondissements. Economy. A proportional representation of Chad exports. 2019 GDP per capita development of Chad. Since 1950, the United Nations Human Development Index ranks Chad as the 7th poorest country in the world, with 80% of the population living below the poverty line. The GDP, purchasing power parity, per capita was estimated as US $1,651 in 2009. 7. Chad is part of Bank of Central African States, the Customs and Economic Union of Central Africa, (UEDIAC), and the Organization for the Harmonization of Business Law in Africa, AHADA. 115. Chad's currency is the CFA franc. In the 1960s, the mining industry of Chad produced sodium carbonate, or natron. There have also been reports of gold-bearing quartz in the Biltine prefecture. However, years of civil war have scared away foreign investors. Those who left Chad between 1979 and 1982 have only recently begun to regain confidence in the country's future. In 2000, major direct foreign investment in the oil sector began, boosting the country's economic prospects. 45. 73. Women in Mao, where water is provided by a water tower. Access to clean water is often a problem in Chad. Uneven inclusion in the global political economy as a site for colonial resource extraction, primarily cotton and crude oil, a global economic system that does not promote nor encourage the development of Chadian industrialization. 116, and the failure to support local agricultural production has meant that the majority of Chadians live in daily uncertainty and hunger. 117, 118, over 80% of Chad's population relies on subsistence farming and livestock raising for its livelihood. 45, the crops grown and the locations of herds are determined by the local climate. In the southernmost 10% of the territory lies the nation's most fertile cropland, with rich yields of sorghum and millet. In the Sahel only the hardier varieties of millet grow, and with much lower yields than in the south. On the other hand, the Sahel is ideal pastureland for large herds of commercial cattle and for goats, sheep, donkeys and horses. The Sahara's scattered oases support only some dates and legumes. 16. Chad's cities face serious difficulties of municipal infrastructure. Only 48% of urban residents have access to potable water and only 2% to basic sanitation. 44. 110. Before the development of oil industry, cotton-dominated industry and the labor market accounted for approximately 80% of export earnings. 119. Cotton remains a primary export, although exact figures are not available. Rehabilitation of Cotton Chad, a major cotton company weakened by a decline in world cotton prices, has been financed by France, the Netherlands, the European Union, and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD. The parastatal is now expected to be privatized. 73. Other than cotton, cattle and gum arabic are dominant. 120. According to the United Nations, Chad has been affected by a humanitarian crisis since at least 2001. As of 2008, the country of Chad hosts over 280,000 refugees from the Sudan's Darfur region, over 55,000 from the Central African Republic, as well as over 170,000 internally displaced persons. 121. In February 2008, the aftermath of the Battle of N'Djamena, UN Under-Secretary-General for Humanitarian Affairs John Holmes expressed extreme concern that the crisis would have a negative effect on the ability of humanitarians to deliver life-saving assistance to 500,000 beneficiaries, most of whom, according to him, heavily rely on humanitarian aid for their survival. 122. UN spokesperson Maurizio Giuliano stated to the Washington Post, "If we do not manage to provide aid at sufficient levels, the humanitarian crisis might become a humanitarian catastrophe." 123. In addition, organizations such as Save the Children have suspended activities due to killings of aid workers. 124. Chad has made some progress in reducing poverty. There was a decline in the national poverty rate from 55% to 47% between 2003 and 2011. However, the amount of poor people increased from 4.7 million, 2011, to 6.5 million, 2019, in absolute amounts. By 2018, 4.2 out of 10 people still live below the poverty line. 125. Infrastructure. Transport. Civil war crippled the development of transport infrastructure. In 1987, Chad had only 30 kilometers, 19 mi, of paved roads. Successive road rehabilitation projects improved the network, 126, to 550 kilometers, 340 mi, by 2004. 127. Nevertheless, the road network is limited. Roads are often unusable for several months of the year. With no railways of its own, Chad depends heavily on Cameroon's rail system for the transport of Chadian exports and imports to and from the seaport of Douala. 128. As of 2013, Chad had an estimated 59 airports, only 9 of which had paved runways. 129. An international airport serves the capital and provides regular non-stop flights to Paris and several African cities. Energy. Chad's energy sector has had years of mismanagement by the Parastatal Chad Water and Electric Society, STE, which provides power for 15% of the capital's citizens and covers only 1.5% of the national population. 130. Most Chadians burn biomass fuels such as wood and animal manure for power. 131. ExxonMobil leads a consortium of Chevron and Petronas that has invested $3.7 billion to develop oil reserves estimated at 1 billion barrels in southern Chad. Oil production began in 2003 with the completion of a pipeline, financed in part by the World Bank, that links the southern oil fields to terminals in the Atlantic coast of Cameroon. As a condition of its assistance, the World Bank insisted that 80% of oil revenues be spent on development projects. In January 2006, the World Bank suspended its loan program when the Chadian government passed laws reducing this amount. 73. 113. On the 14th of July 2006, the World Bank and Chad signed a Memorandum of Understanding under which the government of Chad commits 70% of its spending to priority poverty reduction programs. 132. Telecommunications. The telecommunications system is basic and expensive, with fixed telephone services provided by the state telephone company Sotel Chad. In 2000, there were only 14 fixed telephone lines per 10,000 inhabitants in the country, one of the lowest telephone densities in the world. 130. Gateway Communications, a Pan-African wholesale connectivity and telecommunications provider, also has a presence in Chad. 133. In September 2013, Chad's Ministry for Posts and Information and Communication Technologies, TIC, announced that the country will be seeking a partner for fiber optic technology. Chad is ranked last in the World Economic Forum's Network Readiness Index, NI, an indicator for determining the development level of a country's information and communication technologies. Chad ranked number 148 out of 148 overall in the 2014 NI ranking, down from 142 in 2013. 134. In September 2010, the mobile phone penetration rate was estimated at 24.3% over a population estimate of 10.7 million. 135. Culture. Because of its great variety of peoples and languages, Chad possesses a rich cultural heritage. The Chadian government has actively promoted Chadian culture and national traditions by opening the Chad National Museum and the Chad Cultural Center. 44. 6 national holidays are observed throughout the year, and movable holidays include the Christian holiday of Easter Monday and the Muslim holidays of Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, and Eid Milad-Nabi. 130. A Chadian tailor sells traditional dresses. Cuisine. Millet is the staple food of Chadian cuisine. It is used to make balls of paste that are dipped in sauces. In the north, this dish is known as azalish, in the south, as baya. Fish is popular, which is generally prepared and sold either as salanga, sun-dried and lightly smoked tailists and hydrosinus, or as banda, smoked large fish. 136. Karkaj is a popular sweet red tea extracted from hibiscus leaves. Alcoholic beverages, though absent in the north, are popular in the south, where people drink millet beer, known as bilibili brewed from red millet, and as koshet when from white millet. 137. Music. The music of Chad includes a number of instruments such as the kindi, a type of bow harp, the kekeki, a long tin horn, and the huhu, a stringed instrument that uses calabashes as loudspeakers. Other instruments and their combinations are more linked to specific ethnic groups. The Sara prefer whistles, balafons, harps and kojo drums, and the Kanambu combine the sounds of drums with those of flute-like instruments. 137. The music group Cherai Jazz formed in 1964 and initiated Chad's modern music scene. Later, Maori-renowned groups such as African Melody and International Shalal attempted to mix modernity and tradition. Popular groups such as Tibesti have clung faster to their heritage by drawing on sai, a traditional style of music from southern Chad. The people of Chad have customarily disdained modern music. However, in 1995 greater interest has developed and fostered the distribution of CDs and audio cassettes featuring Chadian artists. Piracy and a lack of legal protections for artists' rights remain problems to further development of the Chadian music industry. 137. 138. Literature. As in other Sahelian countries, literature in Chad has seen an economic, political and spiritual drought that has affected its best-known writers. Chadian authors have been forced to write from exile or expatriate status and have generated literature dominated by themes of political oppression and historical discourse. Since 1962, 20 Chadian authors have written some 60 works of fiction. Among the most internationally. Cricket's Grills Euphrates renowned writers are Joseph Brahim Said, Baba Mustafa Antoine Bangui and Kulzi Lampo. In 2003 Chad's sole literary critic, Ahmad Taboy, published his anthology de la littérature tchadienne to further knowledge of Chad's literature internationally and among youth and to make up for Chad's lack of publishing houses and promotional structure. 137, 139, 140, Media and Cinema. Chad's television audience is limited to N'Djamena. The only television station is the state-owned Tele Chad. Radio has a far greater reach, with 13 private radio stations. 141. Newspapers are limited in quantity and distribution, and circulate